So what we can say.
Looking at your PS4 about to take off.
Yeah, it's usually at the beginning of the lobby. It should get Android online as well. Be a bit more silent. So yeah, we have Brands Hatch Indy tonight. Interesting track. We see drivers might have trouble with gravel pits here. Expecting again a full grid. I think Tanaka was the missing piece. And good for the championship. Also, Jake Witchell is back.
Good to see as well. It's going to bring it to Ruben Serrao after dropping down to P3 in the championship behind his teammate.
And it's 4 races left, 2 rounds, and it's 16 points, I think. On it, 26. My math is not the best. But still, it's
yes,
100 points to earn for a single driver.
We tend to see as well that Serrao drops off in the second round of the evening, so he tends to do quite well in the first round and then drops off in the second. And with this track as well, suiting the front-wheel drive cars like the TT, it's going to be quite a close one to the end for the final few races of the season.
Definitely, and we saw in previous rounds that even really good drivers are struggling with getting through the grid, as we see it several times from Hamza. Definitely one of a guy who can dominate such a grid. We saw it last week from Aaron Shine in race 1, we saw it from Ruben Serrao. So it's not that easy for a quicker driver, especially around Brands Hatch, where there's a track.
Only really 2 overtaking opportunities, aren't there?
Not too many on the Indy layout.
No.
I think the best point, you have to wait for the mistake.
It's very narrow as well, so trying to get 2 cars round some of these corners, for example, going into clearways at the end of the lap, there's not enough room.
Definitely not.
We have Ruben Serrao in the lobby.
Well, there is enough room, but not on the tarmac. It's a bit like turn 1. You can try it, make it too wide. But I think in most of the times, one car will end up in the gravel.
Nice to see Jordan van der Speck as well back on form. Just watching him pass through a few of these corners, he doesn't seem to be too slow in this RCF. Really pushing the limits. Look at that, all the way on the edge of the gravel at the final corner. Puts him up into P4.
See, even if not every driver has set a lap, with Tom Holland, Jake Witchell and Lucas Wake, 3 one-wheel drives, especially 2 Suzukis. But I think your Suzuki is always a bit underestimated. I mean, we had it last season. Even if Van der Speck wasn't really happy with it, Serrao showed that has great potential. Tom Holland showed it several times this season. Lucas Wake won Red Bull Ring on it. The top three are really close together while Tom Holland improved his previous fastest lap.
I think the times are going to be closer anyway. I mean, it's not a long lap, so it's what, maybe a third of the length of a normal lap, so a gap of a tenth here is about 3/10 anywhere else, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
I think Rick is having some issues getting into the lobby.
Still has the black screen issue, but usually you can drive out of the pits and then it should sort itself.
Another interesting factor as well, I think, is going to be the tyre wear as well. I'm just looking at Lucas Wake, he's only done 9 laps.
Also Tom Holland having 10 laps.
And with the races being 29 laps, they're definitely going to be pitting for tyres, and that might give the advantage to the rear-wheel drives.
I think we're gonna have every team with 2 cars.
Fingers crossed. I mean, if we've got Sarai joining in soon, and then if Rick can get into the lobby as well. Michael Woolacott, we've still got to wait to turn up in the second Scirocco. I know we did have Jake Batty in the second BMW. And interestingly enough, Jake Witchell still can't seem to better Tom Holland at the top of the table. I mean, it is only practice, but and as soon as I say that, he beats it by 1,000th of a second. This is exactly what I mean this season. As soon as I say anything.
But very interesting to see the top 3, even if it's just practice, in 1/10. So Van der Speck showing that also a heavy Lexus is able to burn fast times in the grid.
So we've got another 5 minutes left until qualifying. Who do you reckon is going to be taking pole position then? Again, Rick struggling.
I think maybe restarting the PlayStation would help.
Just going to go back to the tyre wear as well. On 14 laps now, Tom Holland, and he's burnt through half of his near side front tyres, so it's definitely going to be a change for the front wheel drives.
Yes, definitely. But Witchell's tyres looks much better. Just had 9 laps so far. That's a big difference. I think Van der Speck pitted, so This tire wear doesn't say a lot. But we can see on John O'Mill's car that also after 10 laps the
Doesn't
rear-wheel-driven
look too
cars
amazing, does it?
definitely enough to lose pace at the end of the race if you're not going for a tire change.
As Ridwan Hamza struggling. Jake Witchell almost drives into the back of him into the pits. Gabinski's finally on track as well, so it's going to be interesting to see what he can do. He hasn't had a win so far this season, but he is still P2 in the championship. I'm not sure what Ridwan is doing on the start-finish straight. He is on the racing line.
Looks like starting practice.
Over this not advisable behaviour in practice. We've still got cars going around the circuit, so. And the fastest line there is to always be up against the wall. You'll see it in BTCC. They'll cut across the track at the very last minute to get onto the left side for the racing line for turn 1, but. So we've still got quite a few cars missing as well.
Yes.
Only 9 cars.
Xerio is in the lobby. Yes. Missing Jake Batty. Michael Woolacott. We know that he is having dinner.
So we'll be, as per usual, joining in the middle of qualifying when he can't go onto track. So now up into P4 as well. I mean, Jordan van der Speck is in the pit, so technically P5, but still that's solid pace from him. Seemed to struggle last time he raced at Catalonia. He's even up on himself now, time-wise, half a tenth.
Checking who's missing. So we have Van der
Rick is
Speck
entering now, so.
So Kieran Kevin is currently missing. Michael
I think
Woolacott.
that he is being substituted for Rick Debris this round. See, Rick was driving the privateer Audi entry, but I think at the last minute, Kieran is dropping out.
It's possible.
Again, not being able to enter.
Okay, what I can do is setting up another lobby. Try it again. But a bit confusing that he's the only one who's struggling.
It's the only real option we have, really, but
Yeah, we can try it
just
one
makes it more
time.
fast for everyone else. May as well, and then we'll have to start qualifying straight away. I hate when this happens. It seems to be every week that we've got some sort of issue, but now, in the meantime, while we're setting this up, I suppose we could go through the standings, just to sort of jog everyone's memories from Maggiore last week. So currently Ruben Suarez sits at the top of the table in the Halex RCF at 212 points. 16 points behind him is P2 Dominik Kubinski in the Audi TT at 186. Jake Witchell behind them, 173. Tom Holland 10 points behind him, and Lucas Wake in P5 at 124 points. Tyler Davison as well, who we haven't seen for a few rounds, in 6th place at 122, so only 2 points behind Lucas Wake, which is interesting to see. I think if he did actually turn up, I think he'd storm the championship quite easily. We haven't seen Jake Witchell here as often as we'd like to. I think as a result, Ruben Soraya has been able to sort of pick up the pieces as the season's gone along. And same with Kubinski, who hasn't scored a win, an official win. He did, you may want to say, won the second round of the first couple of races at Interlagos a few weeks ago. But literally lag issues seconds after he passed the line and the lobby collapsing. We had to null the race's positions. And so he hasn't been able to replicate that so far this season. Ridwan Hamza as well, struggling. 89 points, almost in the midfield, basically. Again, another driver who, if he did attend more races, I think he's struggled initially with the the time differences, and now with I think he's been doing Ramadan, so he's up earlier and can actually race, which is always good to see. Lobby's back up as well. I should have probably looked out for that, but what can you do?
So drivers are joining in.
There we go, Rick's loading in technically, so fingers crossed he'll be able to join us. Rick's still joining, or trying to. Yeah, there we go. There's nothing else we can do, really, is there? As much as I'd like to see Rick racing, we're not going to see it.
Yeah, but it is kind of having the risk of a leggy lobby. So, but now we're missing Ruben Soraya. Two guys are initializing. So it's Tanaka and Tom Holland and Ruben Soraya. I think if Ruben and Tanaka are signed in and loaded in, we are ready to go.
Oh, someone else joining now. I'm not sure who that is.
Ah,
it's Jake Batty in the second BMW.
So, Tanaka still not entered.
There we go, now just waiting on Jake.
Nice.
I will give the benefit of the doubt as he literally has just joined the lobby, so...
And Jake is
There we
in.
go. Oh, finally. Right, now we're going to see some...
Only 8 minutes
proper...
delay.
only 8 minutes, that's fine. That's only like a lap of the Nordschleife rather than Brands Hatch Indy.
So any bets who's first on track?
Is it going to be Tom Holland again? Oh no!
Jono Mills.
It's Jono Mills.
Won the race out of the pit lane.
I think it's going to be up with. There's only 11 cars, so I don't think gaps between each car is going to be a major issue like I thought it would be.
Even if I think several other theories racing with 30 cars around here.
But then again, they haven't got lag issues or.
Yeah, but if you're close enough in the qualifying to a guy that the lag issues can affect your lap time, you're too close anyway.
Here we go now. Jono Mills, first guy to start a lap time. What can he do?
We saw Lipscomb in the gravel. Mills with a really good exit.
18.6 through the first sector then. As he goes down Cooper Straight, I believe it's called. As he heads the track, very long, and it burns out that outside tyre as he struggles to get the foot down. What can he do? And there we go, Michael Woolacott joining a minute and a half after qualifying starts. Typical. Now 47.7 for Jono Mills on provisional pole, and Jordal van der Speck takes it away straight away, 7/10.
Immediate counter here from Witchell and Hamza. Holland currently improving, but really, really close to Witchell at the moment.
He struggles to hit the apex there.
Ridwan Hamza on the way to getting closer to Jake Witchell. 1.5 tenths quicker than before. And now to the line. Almost. also with an improvement.
What can Ruben Soraya do as he goes down the back straight? Only good enough for 9th at the moment. 47.6 puts him behind Tanaka and the Scirocco. Something I've noticed as well.
Third car in
I think
46.
P3. Another thing I've noticed as well, all of the British drivers seem to know the little trick on the start-finish straight of just sticking to the right-hand side. Whereas I've seen Jordan van der Speck, Ridwan Hamza trying to hold it around the outside, and there's a tiny little gap, time to be gained there, but every tenth counts as we can see.
Even if I'm German, I know this trick. But it was for the practice Soraya with on now on P7 for a time attack championship where we had Brands Hatch, and it was on road cars and sport tires, and the heavy Ferrari 512 BB was a bit more easy to steer on the inside line on the corner.
Tom Holland trying out some new lines there through the turn 1, almost goes into the back of which was TT as they go through Druids.
Jordan van der Speck currently 2/10 up. Would bring him into P3. Lost a bit in the second sector.
Small improvement from Soraya, P6.
Tom Lipscomb 47.7. No improvement for Van der Speck. Lost it in the final sector. Very interesting that Jake Witchell and Tom Holland are really close to each other for the entire qualifying now. Jono Mills with an improvement is on P8 at the moment. Gaps are really close here.
Only 8/10 separating first down to 10th.
And also Tom Lipscomb is almost just a second behind. Now up to P10.
Ridwan Hamza goes wide outside on the outside of Clearways, and that's another lap in the bin.
Jordan van der Speck now on P2. Only 7 thousandths behind Jake Witchell.
Very good lap. Especially in the boat of an RCF. Jake Batty as well struggling. I thought he'd be a bit closer to Tom Holland for a 4th position.
Currently sitting on a 3-second penalty. Hamza second down, no improvement for him this lap. But I think the fastest lap we're gonna see after the first set of pit stops.
So everyone piles in. Jake Witchell and Tom Holland.
So Kibinski and Lucas Wake. So it seems that the front wheel driven cars are definitely losing a bit of pace after 7 to 8 laps.
Bit of a jump scare though, going through turn 1. John O'Mills is facing backwards. Not something you want to see.
Kibinski also sitting on a 3-second penalty.
Ruben Soraya now up to P3. That's 3 drivers now within a 100th of each other.
This is crazy. Even if you would multiply it by 3, it is still absolutely close and insane.
And all 3 of those top drivers as well, they don't make silly moves when they're fighting, they don't do anything daft, so I reckon we're in for a really good one tonight, this first race.
think the Lexus drivers and also Hamza will be pretty happy to start as far in the front as possible.
Still no improvement from Van der Speck. He's still going, considering, which is obviously considering his tyre.
Improved. Stayed on P6.
2 tenths between the top 6.
A bit surprised to see Dominik Kubinski
down in P7. He's really struggling tonight.
Half a second down. Sereo with another improvement, now provisional pole.
Wow. Look at that. This it's not going to be good news for Jake Witchell. He's really throwing that Audi now into clearways. Late apex, not actually on the apex as he struggles to get the power down, kicks up some gravel.
Jake Batty improved and is now on P3, jumped Van der Speck and his teammate Ridwan Hamza.
Like you said, all the cars are light, they're on brand new rubber. So we're really going to see the lowest lap times this evening in the next 5 minutes. Improvement for Witchell as he drives through the Graham Hill bend. Again, Tom Holland tailing him, trying to get a little slipstream from him.
1.5 tenths down. And our predictions were not super accurate, as we have 5 rear-wheel driven cars in the front. 4 out of 5 rear-wheel driven cars in the front.
Small improvement from Holland. Still not enough.
And the top 6 are in between 1/4 of a second. Can improve in Witchell's slipstream.
There we go, Ridwan Hamza, provisional pole. Brilliant lap time there, 46.517.
So it seems that the top 5 still have room to improve. Lucas Wake now on P7, really close to the 46s. Jumped Dominik Kubinski, who's now in P8. Jakey.
Small improvement from Batty there, up into P3. Witchell's going to take on another set of tyres. He's going to go for another bold attempt. He's got just under 2 tenths to find to take pole position from Ridwan Hamza.
I think Tom Holland backed out in the pits and is now back on 20 litres.
It's not going to do him any good, I don't think. See everyone piling into turn 1 now.
I see BMW on the gravel. Must have been Ridwan Hamza, as Batty is now in the pits.
It seems like the pits are in him, and he's just
improvement from
inhaled the wall.
Just not enough to get back on pole.
6 thousandths. Out comes Jake Batty on the fresh set of softs. That's Tanaka past.
P11 still.
The biggest gap between two drivers is less than 0.3 of a second. That's between Lucas Wake and Tom Holland. So the gap between Lucas Wake and Tom Holland is almost as big as the gap between Tom Holland and Ridwan Hamza. And as I say that, Tom Holland is now on a personal best as he heads through clearways now. Kicks up the dust. Is he going to stick to the right-hand side? Yes, he is. And he's gained a tenth on himself. It's now 2 tenths separating the top 6.
Lucas Wake lost it in the final sector. And it's really, really interesting to see that Witchell is not able to improve. I think his fastest lap is still the one on the first set of tires with more fuel.
Jake Witchell running out of fuel, and that's his qualifying session over. That's the best lap he's going to be able to do. I think he's going to get around the circuit in time. No improvement. Ruben Serrao, he's dropping into the pits, no improvement.
Over for him as well.
So it's between Jakey and Van der Speck now. Who's going to take it?
Traffic. Stuck behind Tanaka.
Doesn't have to let him past. He is on a lap of his own, and there we go. Tanaka has basically opened the door and invited Jake Batty through. And he takes that invitation. He's not going to better his time, I don't think. It's not. It's all on Jordal van der Speck now. As he rounds clearways up to 5th gear, sticks to the right hand side of the circuit. Now across the line, can he beat? No, he can't. There's nothing there.
Tom
Holland though,
improving.
with an improvement.
Kubinski stayed on P8 with an improvement on his final lap.
And huge traffic. Oof. There he comes through the final corner. He gets his foot down. He's going to get a minor.
Distracted too much. Still possible.
From Tanaka, and no improvement there.
Almost.
There's your grid then, folks. Ridwan Hamza takes pole position from Ruben Serrao. Jake Batty P3, Jake Witchell P4, and all Jake row 2. Jordal van der Speck P5 and Tom Holland P6. Any other top 6, I think it's too close to call between who's going to be taking the win.
Definitely.
Lucas Wake in 7th, leading this almost a second pack of cars. Kubinski, one of the championship contenders, down in P8. He's not going to be too happy with that. Tanaka only 800ths behind him. Jono Mills in 10th, and Tom Lipscomb in 11th, and we are going to have
Michael Woolacott.
Michael Woolacott rounding off the grid.
So it will be a pretty interesting one. And I'm really looking forward to the start of Jono Mills, because he's the only rebuild driven car and has a lot of front wheel drives in front of him. With a good but short sprint to turn 1, he can make up a few positions.
It's going to be a little bit hectic, isn't it?
So you have the grid.
Let me just take a quick photo of it, otherwise I'll forget it, because I forget literally everything. There we go. Right, so when you are ready.
Yep, you have to set the grid by host. Just need to find it.
So when you're ready.
Grid set by host, BUP on, just double check everything. Good that I checked.
So now we've got to wait for everyone to enter, which is going to take another 12 minutes from we were already behind. So when you're ready?
Just waiting for Betty and Tanaka.
And Van der Speck.
Only Betty. Oh yeah, Van der Speck.
Oh. And John O'Mills. Now just John O'Mills.
And now
there we go. So
okay,
you've got Ridwan Hamza followed by Ruben Sorreo on the first row.
Yes.
Then you've got Jake Batty and Jake Witchell, P3 and 4.
Yes, and then Jordan Van der Speck.
Oh, bloody hell, where has it gone? Yeah, Witchell of Van der Speck, Tom Holland, Lucas Wake and Dominik Kabinski.
Yes. Tanaka, Mills, Lipscomb, Woolacott.
Spot on. Don't even need me here. So there we have it. This is going to be a belter, I reckon. That's some reassuring words for everyone else from Ruben Sorreo. My internet isn't the best.
Really interesting point of view here from it's Kabinski's car. It was a bit shaky at the grid. There we have the lights.
4 lights, 5 lights. You can hear all the engines revving. And the clutch is dropping off. They go. Ridwan Hamza gets a brilliant start from the inside there.
Kubinski, I think maybe jump started. It was really slow at the start.
Dropped very far back. And Ridwan Hamza with a huge gap at front. Doesn't seem to be anyone in the gravel trap, which is brilliant to see.
No, not really.
Cheeky having a look around the outside of Sorreo.
Oh, someone went right there. It was Lucas Wake.
Lucas Wake. And just as you predicted, John O'Mills up into P5 as well, leading the second pack of cars. As there goes Ridwan Hamza leading Ruben Sorreo, Jake Batty and Jordan Van der Speck. First of 29 laps completed. Ruben Sorreo runs very wide.
It seems that we have a disconnect from Kubinski. Yeah, he has a glitch.
I think we're too far behind now. I don't think we can restart.
So, in the
Jake
first
Witchell having a look at John
positions,
O'Mills.
Interesting.
Oh, side by side. Witchell pushes Mills, and Mills says, I'm not having it, takes the position back. Gets that iron dot lined up straight, puts his foot down, and just drops the TT in the acceleration. And here it comes now with the top speed as they head down the start-finish straight. Is Witchell going to take a look into turn 1? He's too far back.
Lipscomb also involved into the fight.
John O'Mills all the way over to the right, and Jake Witchell, I think that's on him. He's made the mistake. John O'Mills is all the way to the right. Brilliant racing there. And now Tom Holland takes a dive. And through goes Tom Lipscomb.
So both Swifts around the Genesis, and now Mitchell has the better line, and also Woolacott has a look.
And
that really helped the top four. Already 4-second gap to the chasing pack.
That's brilliant, look at that. Michael Woolacott already up to P8 from last on the grid.
Tom Holland wide in the gravel. And I think Woolacott was able to dodge. Tom Holland dropped down to P9. And Mitchell has to bring now all his pace to get back into the leading pack.
Which hasn't changed at all in the 3 laps. There's still Ridwan Hamza leading Ruben Serrao as they head into Paddock Hill Bend for the 5th time. Ridwan with a mistake, he puts it into the gravel slightly. Is Ruben going to have a look into Druids? Thinks better of it. Fortunately, the TT stranded on the left side of the circuit isn't causing any yellow flags.
Jonah Mills here against Michael Woolacott, and collision.
And contact, the 2 cars into the wall. I just missed it, I'm not sure what happened there.
They were side by side. I think Jonah Mills pulled a bit too heavy to the inside when Michael was already on his side. Hit it on a really unlucky spot.
Good news for Tanaka though, up into P6, keeps his nose out of it. Back up to the front now. Ridwan Hamza still fending off Ruben Serrao. Not much between the 2 cars.
Van der Speck found his way back to Jake Batty's rear, but also Jake Batty lost Serrao's rear. 47.8 is a second slower than his previous lap.
Getting a bit loose out of the last corner. He's lost a couple tenths as they head over the start finish line. Slowly but surely, Ridwan is losing time. He's using as much of the track as he possibly can. Look how wide he's taking that BMW. Every corner there's just a new puff of dust.
But he's looking definitely better on tyres than both BMWs looking better
by
than
far,
the Lexus.
Definitely.
And Mitchell already gained half a second on Van der Speck. And also his front tires looking better than the Lexus front tires. I think we saw it last week. Tom Holland currently sitting comfortably on P6.
Very lonely race he's running.
And we have a nice little
With
fighting
Jonah
between
Mills.
Woolacott, Tanaka and Tom Lipscomb.
And as you say that, Tanaka being pushed wide by Tom. Tom's not going to give the position back. He's not going to wait, and that's going to be a 10-second penalty for definite.
Tanaka back on track. And Lucas Wake definitely struggling more than usual. We saw him winning races and now he's P11. With a 1 minute really slow.
So not much going on at the moment. Everyone keeping it clean. I think it's only really going to spice up when the cars start dropping into the pits in another 5 laps time. Ridwan Hamza.
Tom Holland. Michael Woolacott back on Mills' rear. And Mills is round, hit the gravel, and also Tom Lipskamp is in the gravel.
Tanaka as well. Managed to keep it in the same direction.
Back in contact.
Ruben Soraya setting a personal best, trying to hunt down Ridwan Hamza. The tyre wear looks worse than it actually is.
Vandersbeck right here in the gravel. His tyre is looking pretty bad.
Again, the gap closing between Ridwan and Ruben Soraya as they head into clearways. Ruben on a purple sector there by 300ths. Gap now going to drop.
Catching up.
Ruben Soraya fastest lap of the race. Soraya going to have a cheeky look into Druids. He shows his bumper, but he knows he's too far back. He's almost wrestling that Lexus round the corners. Would explain the terrible tyre wear he's suffering.
The M4 is not much lighter.
Ridwan Hamza now under major pressure as he forces him to go the long way round. Is Ruben going to make it round the outside? He thinks better of it. He's going to get the cutback there. Ridwan runs deep through Paddock Hill Bend.
No,
as they head up the hill. There's into a brilliant switchback move as they run side by side through the hairpin. Ridwan goes deep. And he's now under huge pressure from his teammate Jake Batty in the second BMW.
Sorry, a bit wide here, and Hamza is almost next to him.
He has a look. He leaves the room, which brings Jake Batty into the equation. The Lexus though seems to have the better straight line speed as Jake Batty is
first one of the leading pack.
Makes an early stop. Now here comes Soraya. He's going to take a look. He doesn't.
Mills and Tanaka are currently the only guys who were actually in the pits. Woolacott the next one.
There's still another, I reckon there's still another couple laps left in the tank of either of those leading two cars. But who's going to pit first? We've got to wait another lap to find out. The gap drops back down to...
Stays out for another lap. Jake Mitchell now in the pits. It's really interesting to see if Jake Betty can jump to P1 on this undercut. He was really close to Soraya and Hamza.
He's got a nice clear section of track in front of him. He's not going to deal with two cars fighting, and he's decided not to take tyres. So who knows how this is going to fare for him in the final stages of the race. So we get to the halfway mark as both leaders now into the pits.
So let's check.
Jordan van der Speck follows. Tom Holland as well.
Fresh set of rubber.
So here comes Jake Batty now, as he comes out of clearways.
Batty, the only one who doesn't pit for tires, but his lap time's still good, 46.9 on his outlet.
Which gives him a 2.5 second gap to his teammate Ridwan Hamza. Huge gap here, and Ridwan extends his gap to Ruben Sorreo. Sorreo taking a little bit more fuel, and that might have slowed him down a bit.
Jake Witchell gap to P4 is 6 seconds. Tanaka in the gravel again. Out of the lobby.
The gap already between Batty and Hamza. That 7/10 gone. Don't know whether that's because Jake did have to lap Tom Lipscomb in the Swift. As Ridwan runs... Oh, no, just lap. Thought he'd run terribly wide there, but apparently not.
For me, he's still on track. Everything is fine.
Down in a very lonely P5, I'm going to point out, is Jake Witchell, one of their championship contenders. He's not going to be too pleased about this. A terrible start to the race. Gets stuck behind John O'Mills, and he's now just under 5.5 seconds behind Jordan van der Speck.
Also took a few liters more fuel with him. Is now pretty much stretched after the pit stops.
.6 seconds now between Jake and Ridwan. The two BMWs in FR12. This may be the first if they are successful. In the meantime, though, Tom Lipscomb isn't exactly being dropped by Jake Batty.
His pace is really solid. 47.1, 47 flat, and now in the gravel.
Again! As soon as I say something. The gap now is second between the two. Neither car really fighting for the Drivers' Championship, so I don't know whether there's going to be any team orders or what.
Well, and they're also, after the disconnect of Kubinski, maybe back in the fight for the Team Championship.
That is true. They're going to earn maximum points if they can keep it going.
Sorreo on a similar pace with Hamza.
The gap is, say, about 2.5 seconds for quite a while now.
But I'm almost sure that Batty will really struggle on tires in the end. Front left looking pretty bad. There's 8 more laps to go. 8.5.
They're going to come up to the back of John O'Mills now. Finish the 21st lap. Ridwan gaining 0.2 that lap. You can see the understeer, just how quickly Ridwan is gaining time out of the corners. Jake doesn't seem to be making it easy for Ridwan.
Definitely.
And as a result,
gaining
Ridwan,
a lot.
I was just about to say, half a second there in the last couple of laps. He's going to have to put his foot down, his old Ridwan, the Serbian. Seven laps to go then. It's only 3/10 separating the two BMWs. I'm going to take a look. He doesn't. Definitely no team orders here then. His gloves off.
Brilliant to see that they are fighting for the position. Because if there was team orders, there was definitely enough time to switch positions. And Sergio is now just a second behind Hamza.
Oh, Ridwan getting the better exit. The door is open for Ridwan on the inside into Paddock Hill Bend. He's going to take a look, but he doesn't go for it. Jake leaves the space. And now Ridwan under pressure from Ruben. Five and a half laps to go then. Place your bets, ladies and gents. It's less than a second separating the top three.
So the podium is definitely everything but not decided.
Ruben Serrao with the run now on Ridwan Hamza. He shows his nose into Paddock Hill Bend. Ridwan makes a mistake, runs wide. They run side by side now up the hill as they head into Druids. Bumper to bumper, bit of lag there, and both cars making contact into the barrier. Not too sure what happened. I was on board with Ruben. I think I missed it. I'm not sure. But that leaves Jake now open for the win. He's just got to keep it on the track.
Vandersbeck now on P3. Serrao has now Witchell in his gearbox.
The two championship fighters. Bear in mind, Witchell is on worse tyres. This is now where the real fight lies on track.
Definitely holding back with my opinion on this incident. Looked pretty sus from my point of view.
But it may well be more lag-related shenanigans, typical of Gran Turismo. Don't think Witchell's going to have enough to catch Ruben. The gap extending quite visibly that lap.
Hamza is getting pressure here from Jordan Vandersbeck.
It's great to see Jordan Vandersbeck back up to pace. For the first time since round one. It's been almost 2 months. But he's back at it and he's fighting Ridwan Hamza.
Both are not looking that comfortable on fuel. It's just 2 more laps. Which cannot stick with the pace of Serrao.
No, another 7/10 that lap. I think those two positions are set in stone. Nothing else really going on track.
Jake Betty now on the final lap. The tire is still solid enough to not lose 3.5 seconds to his teammate.
Don't think there's much to go wrong here. If he gets close enough to John O'Mills, he'll just let him back past, but... as they head into the final corner for the final time. Jake Batty comes out of clear ways.
Doesn't win for it.
Brilliant victory then from Jake Batty, picking up the pieces after a dramatic final few laps. Jordan van der Beek finishes off the podium. Ridwan Hamza P2 and the second BMW.
Jake Ritchell P5.
Tom Holland P6, Michael Willicott P7. Lucas Wake really struggling today. John O'Mills P9, solid drive from him after a fair few scraps with Michael Willicott and co.
So, now about the starting grid for the second race. I think we should include Dominik Kubinski in the reverse grid because this was definitely not his fault.
He did enter the race, he did start the race, but he didn't finish. And to be fair, as the rules go, if you start the race and you get taken out from technical issues, you still earn points. And you shouldn't really earn points without being put in the said position for the reverse grid. So I think dropping out of the lobby.
I will quickly change settings. Quickly save the replay first.
Oh yeah, might come in handy.
Oh yeah, there was definitely contact between Sereo and Hamza. Game crashed.
Again.
It's better that it happens now between the races.
That is true.
So 29 laps again, rolling start, set by host.
So we will wait for Tom Holland to rejoin the lobby. Tanaka leaves the lobby again. Lucas Wake as well. A lot of issues there. While we wait for the lobby to be reset, I think we'll go through the race results again from race 1. So if you missed it, Jake Batty took his first WTCC victory out of his teammate Ridwan Hamza after he had a huge accident going into Druids with Ruben Serrao, who finished P4 with Jordan van der Beek in third in front of him. Jake Witchell, one of the championship protagonists, finishing P5. He did take fastest lap, but I don't think that's going to be enough. Tom Holland in P6, Michael Willicott P7, Lucas Wake P8 in a very quiet race. John O'Mills and Tom Lipscomb finishing off the top 10, and Tanaka and Dominik Kubinski both dropping out of the race.
So currently 10 cars signed in, just waiting for Jake Batty.
I think we should start doing driver interviews between races. I think that'd be quite fun.
So now everyone is in. Do you have a message from Tanaka if he's joining back or?
I don't have anything, no, so I don't think so.
So give me the grid.
So I think it's only fair that we put Kubinski on reverse grid pole. If he earns the points, then that's where he should be. And if Tanaka's not here, then it's going to be Tom Lipscomb in P2. And it's going to be John Mills P3.
Yes.
Lucas Wake and Michael Woolacott.
Have them.
Tom Holland and Jake Witchell.
Sereo, Vandersberg,
Midwan Hamza and Jake Batty.
Double check. Seems good. Let's check if everyone is ready. So team's fine. So let's go for another 29 laps of Brands Hatch Indy.
Sounds good to me.
It will be really interesting at the start with 4 V8 power cars at the back of the grid.
Cars at the back tend to get the
hit the start again like he hit it. He might get into P2.
So he heads now down the start-finish straight. And it's lights out and off they go. A huge gap between the two. John O'Mills taking the advantage straight away, going right down the inside of Tom Lipscomb into T1. Tom tries to hold it around the outside, bit of contact between the two, but Rubbings racing as they keep their positions into Druids. John O'Mills tries to take another dive, doesn't work, which all falls into Kubinski's lap, who takes
big power slide
T1
here
by the hand. As he gets past Witchell, bit of a scrap there, going through Graham Hill as they head down the back straight to the final few corners.
No big position changes, but Kubinski with a 2-second gap after this really weird rolling start.
I don't think he's going to be complaining about that, and a bit of proper touring car racing there between Tom Holland and Michael Woolacott. As Woolacott bumps into the back of him, and off goes Tom Holland into turn 1.
Unfortunately, he has to stay in the gravel to not having impact with other cars. This is a really bad spot to have contact.
Michael Woolacott letting everyone know that he's here. He's still making contact with Lucas Wake. He was on the inside. He left Lucas all the room in the world. And Jake Witchell goes straight past him.
Something happened to Jake Batty.
And he's very far back, 7 seconds behind Tom Holland, who was put into the gravel.
looking at the drifts he did, maybe dirty tires. Vandersbeck and Serena now overtaking Lucas Wake.
He falls into, has a look at Soreo. Soreo leaves all the room, but both guys come out the corner slowly, and Ridwan Hamza just takes the position, goes clean around the outside of Lucas.
And contact here between Lucas Wake and Ridwan Hamza. Ridwan Hamza in the gravel.
Ridwan Hamza, he's going to go into the pits. He's going to take from his teammate that you can run the whole race on one set of tyres. Tom Lipscomb into the gravel at turn 1 and lets everyone through. John O'Mills up into P2. Jake Witchell P3. Michael Woolacott P4. He's been hassled through Druids by Jordal Vandersbeck. Gets pushed wide. Bit more contact with him as he sticks his nose in. And takes the position back. Says, how do you like that? Back up to P4 for Michael Woolacott. Jordan Vandersbeck makes huge contact there. Massive accident. I called that would happen.
Also, John O'Mills in the gravel. Drop back to P8.
In the gravel as well, yep. Behind
So
Tom
we have
Lipscomb.
Jake Witchell on P2.
Team Spirit 1 and 2. Kabinski with almost a 5-second gap.
Jake Betty in the pits now. But will the tires last if you run that much fuel? Because the car is...
More fuel means more weight, which means more tyre wear.
And Betty was definitely on the edge. Dominik Kabinski comfortably leading by 4 seconds.
The gap has dropped slightly though by about half a second to Jake Witchell, which means in 9 laps time Witchell's going to be all over the back of him if he keeps up this pace.
And before we forget something, quickly have a look at the standings, because probably we might crown, yeah, we're definitely gonna crown the first champion tonight. Tom Holland in the Tom Caroline Trophy, 50 points clear. No competitor is racing tonight. He picked up some points, even without racing he would have been champion tonight.
He's going to be happy with that, the top privateer. Great performance all season. No wins, but a few podiums here and there, and as a result has been raking in points.
Woolacott with the attempt on Lucas Wake. This little fight between Lipscomb, Holland, Woolacott and Wake might help the top 4 to escape again. So it in race 1. Pretty solid lap times here from Betty and Hamza.
Gap now 3 seconds at the front between Kubinski and Witchell.
Which is definitely quicker than Kubinski. And Woolacott is trying to find a way around Lucas Wake. But even in the Scirocco it is absolutely hard to beat the Swift on the brakes.
Lucas Wake runs a bit deep there, and Michael Woolacott has a look. Lucas Wake closes the door in his face. He has a look around the outside, but that leaves the door open for Tom Lipscomb.
So the second Phantom S car.
Bit of contact between the two, but all's fair in love and war.
Bullock stayed in front and is absolutely sandwiched between three Swifts. Lipscomb trying it again.
Michael Willicott's going to be sick of the droning sound of that Suzuki Swift.
Tom Holland tries to find a way around Tom Lipscomb.
Tom Lipscomb seems to find a whole lot of pace when he's following another car. He seems to enjoy just seeing how different drivers take their lines, and he has a look at Michael as they go into clearways. He keeps his nose in there as they run side by side now. Down the start-finish straight.
Slightly more power in the Scirocco. I think Tom Holland is just waiting for those two to collide.
It's not exactly hard to imagine, is it, in this series? Meanwhile, though, back up front, Dominik Kubinski and Jake Witchell, a gap now 1.3 seconds. And now the two Lexuses, or the Lexi, is closing the gap to Jake Witchell, who is closing the gap to Kubinski. We're going to see a nice little four-way battle in the next few laps.
All cars pretty equal on fuel. We saw in the first race that the TTs pitted a lap earlier. But you see Kubinski, of course, the tyres are now a bit more worn. But
and Jordan van der Speck in the pits. He's going to try to get the undercut. It worked for Jake Batty last race, so we'll have to wait and see how that turns out. Meanwhile, 3/10 now between the two. And Kubinski just lets Witchell past.
Not really much defending from Kubinski here.
Jake Witchell flashes his hazards to say thank you. Very swift swap positions.
Wake now in P4 after Van der Speck's pit stop. Let's see, and Van der Speck came out of the pits immediately in front of Hamza, so the undercut for Hamza. It went pretty good so far.
Not too much of a difference between the two cars on tyres either, so I think Ridwan has been had a brilliant stint of just keeping the tyres, just keeping it smooth, make sure they're not worn. Meanwhile, Jordan van der Speck power slides out of clearways. So it's going to be interesting to see where the two leaders come out.
I think they'll go to the pits now. Same way.
Yeah, Witchell cutting it close. In he comes.
It's a Soraya.
Oh, Lucas Wake.
Pretty late decision to not pit. And I don't know if this turns out in the end. We see Tom Holland, who's pretty good at fuel saving. 1 liter left. I currently can't see how Lucas Wake will make it back to the pits with this fuel. There's absolutely nothing left in this car.
And here we go now, the provisional top four. Very, very close to each other. Kubinski struggling going wide there.
But Lucas made it. With a slight tap off the barrier.
Kubinski now past Hamza. You know, he may be a bit slower, but he's not giving up. He's hurls that car into Paddock Hill Bend. Ridwan all over the back of him.
Kubinski with a penalty. This will give Hamza an easy overtake.
And here comes John O'Mills, and a terrible re-entry onto the track and a huge accident, which drops Jake Witchell behind Ruben Serrao, and with a half-second penalty. Did you even see that? Yeah, so my mistake. I just thought Kubinski was Witchell, so silly me. Again, a real shame to see.
Vandersbeck in the background touched a little bit the gravel, catch the car. Lucas Wake in P10 for whatever reason. Maybe the impact with the pit barrier cost him that much time. Jake Betty back in P6.
Red one slightly wide on the exit of turn 1. Bit of dust kicked up. Kubinski isn't exactly dropping far behind them. He's just keeping pace, and now Jordan van der Speck and Tom Holland as well. So it's the top 6 within 5 seconds of each other.
We have a lot of time left, so we are definitely closer here after the pit stops.
The different strategies coming into play, closing all the cars up. The gap staying about the same between P1 and P2. And a spec
seems a bit stuck behind Kubinski. Really difficult to find a spot here to overtake.
Bear in mind that anything that might go wrong at the front, and it's all going to be everyone else that's going to take advantage. They're not too far behind. Again, the gap staying about 8 tenths at the front. Slightly wide from Serrao there as they head through Druids.
And Tom Holland found his way to the leading group. Now in the pack with Kubinski and Vandersbeck.
Tom's not got anything to lose, so he's going to put it all on the line. That doesn't really make much sense. Points for stance is going to be a brilliant battle. That's what I'm trying to say.
Serrao sets the fastest lap now.
Kubinski with a half-second penalty.
I know a smiling Dutch guy now. And Kubinski almost lost the car.
Keeps it going in the right direction. He's not making it easy for Jordan to get past him.
But Vandersbeck managed it even before the penalty burn zone.
Kubinski takes a look. It's only a half-second penalty, but it's going to make quite a difference. So there goes Tom Holland.
Now on P5, another brilliant performance here from him. And it seems that the leading three are splitting a bit. Sergio is now 1.5 seconds ahead of Witchell, another 1.5 seconds ahead of Hamza. Then Van der Speck, you saw it with the overtake, maybe lost a bit. All of them consistently in the 46s. Rio and Witchell should be pretty equal on tyre wear. I think it's still more difficult for the front wheel drive cars as the acceleration is also on the used tyre. Hamza's tyres might go to their knees in a few laps.
Never thought I'd say this, but it's been a very quiet race this time round. Not much going on.
I think a bit like in race 1, the top guys are on a similar pace. I mean, we see everyone is in the 46s. One time you're a bit quicker, one time not. So the gaps are pretty consistent. The gaps are also not big enough to lose the focus just for a millisecond. One mistake by touching the gravel can drop you down to P10.
As I say that, it's been a quiet race. Kabinski and Jake Batty now seem to be jinxing everything this season, so maybe I should say that it's a bit boring all the time.
If it would be that easy.
Jake making light work of Dominik there, who drops down to P7.
Yeah,
The gap at the front now
doesn't seem to fit him.
No, very, very odd. I'd have thought the front wheel drives would have been very quick here, as it's quite a tight and technical circuit, but apparently not. I'm going to point out though,
had a mistake.
Yeah, big time difference between him and Soraya now.
And Hamza is close now. Witchell with a 48.1, 1.5 second time loss on lap 25. Van der Speck might get in trouble from Tom Holland.
The gap is closing, isn't it? Tom Holland is on fresher tyres.
I think Van der Speck might notify the performance drop now.
Gap now 2/10 between P2 and P3, Witchell and Hamza. Again, bumper to bumper as they head through Druids. Redman gets the power down. He's going to have a small run. He shows his car in the mirror of Witchell's TT. He says, I want that second position, whether you want to give it to me or not. He's now in the slipstream as they head down the pit straight.
Not much.
He takes a look, but he's not close enough.
Both
guys
right here.
touching the gravel. Takes a look, doesn't take the position. He's biding his time, piling the pressure on Witchell, who doesn't seem to be making any mistakes, just suffering with the tyres on that TT.
And it's impressive that Hamza is still quick on this rubber.
He runs wide. I think he's going to try and get a late apex, and he's put his foot down. He's going to try and go round the outside of Jake Witchell. The TT with a better top speed. Doesn't work. As they head over the start-finish line for the final time. Red One's running out of opportunities as they head into Druids for the final time. Witchell's run wide. They go side by side. He tries to hold it around the outside, but Red One shoves his BMW in front of him.
Up to P2 now.
There's not much Witchell can do. He's got one final opportunity, whether he's going to take it or not. Let's have a look. He inhales the inside curbs there. He can't get the TT turned in enough. Red One positions that BMW perfectly. But it's going to be Rubens de Rayo who takes the victory in race 2, the reverse grid. A brilliant, brilliant drive. 4 seconds ahead of P2 and P3. Red One Hamza taking second position on the final lap of the race.
Van der Speck could defend his P4 from Tom Holland.
Jake Bastian P6, Kabinski 7th.
After this recovery. Lucas Wake P8. Lipskamp and Woolacott going side by side, switching positions. Woolacott P9, Lipskamp P10. Absolute intense fights here.
Some close fights up until the very end. Witchell doesn't seem to be very happy with that. Red One taking his position.
From my POV, I haven't seen contact. I think Witchell went a bit wide on his own. It's really hard to judge from this camera angle.
No, I don't think there was contact at all. It's a very, very fair race. It's not like Red One to bump and run.
Maybe there was contact because Witchell is typing in the chat, never been so pissed off. But yeah, first decision is made. Tom Holland, Tom Coronel Trophy winner, top privateer of the season. Really deserved also.
Definitely.
I think attended every race. And this is one key to be successful in here. Ruben Serreo with another huge step into the direction of his first driver championship. I think he outscored Witchell in both races.
I believe so.
And also the team championship might close down a bit, as Kubinski wasn't that high scoring this week. And both Halex and FR Bono Racing scored really solid points.
Blimey, I've just been told by Tom Holland it's been 2 years since this series was announced. Blimey. Time flies, huh? By the looks of it, Tom is actually the only driver from Season 1 still here.
Yeah, definitely.
But a brilliant pair of races.
Van der Speck was the second longest, and then all the other guys are pretty new.
Yeah, I mean, Jake Witchell has not been around for too long. Kubinski neither. Lucas Wake's first season. Ruben has been around since we did the Civics a few seasons ago. Ridwan started last season. Woolacott hasn't been here for too long either, actually. So, yeah, very major grid change in the last few seasons. I think it's the influx of teams when we started in Gran Turismo 7 over the last year, rather than just being solely a drivers' championship. That's sort of been it, really. We've had Ryan Edgecombe dropping out as well. Took a podium in his final race in Season 6.
Good old times, Gran Turismo Sport.
Oh, those were the days. Well, we didn't have lag.
Yes.
And their front wheel drive cars were incredibly overpowered.
But yeah, I think Gran Turismo 7 is on a good way. We see that I think the major difference we saw between the cars at the beginning of the season, the tire wear, is not affecting the race in that way we thought after the update. But it might be just a Lexus issue.
But not the most exciting of rounds, but I think it's going to be quite an impactful one on the championship. I think Ruben Schreier, all he has to do...
On top of the grid, the midfield, what is usually the more fighting pack, was not that close this time.
It was more the top few drivers. There was... Normally we have a few drivers that are quick in one race and a few that are quick in the other. But it seemed that in both races they were all as quick. And any of the top 6, you know, at the start of this stream, we didn't know who could have had it. But I think Kabinski, his championship has drifted away. And I think Ruben Schreier, all he's got to do is turn up and score a couple points next week. And I think he's got a championship in the bag.
Well, don't jinx it, Will. Please don't jinx it.
Oh, God. Oh.
But it is really unfortunate that Witchell missed the previous round. I think otherwise we would have a really tight championship race between those two.
But next week it's going to be Autopolis. The full course for the first time. Only ever had the short course.
Yeah, I remember. Good old times. Podium in the Scirocco. I don't know who it was. It was you? I think you and two other guys. Maybe Slippered. And it was Josh, definitely Josh.
That's a name I haven't heard for a while.
I was really comfortable in P4, but you guys in the top, you were not that working together. I was still in contact, and somehow I managed to get away with P2.
Oh, well, we'll have to look into bringing some of those names back. I did actually speak to Josh earlier on in the week, as I saw that the entry numbers were a bit low, so I messaged him. I was like, what are you doing on Wednesday, mate? Just no reason. But unfortunately nothing came to fruition, so fingers crossed we might be able to get a guest appearance from him next season. The most successful WTCC driver, 4 championships on the trot.
Yeah, it is definitely, as Jordo Vandersbeck is not in the championship race, the 4th different driver champion in the 4th season of Gran Turismo 7. Could be the 3rd Hilux driver. Fingers crossed. Definitely non-biased. But honest, I'm really happy that the both BMWs fought for the position. I'm not a big fan of team order.
No, neither. It was brilliant to see the two having a fight, and even if it did end in tears with an incident, which seems to be quite the commonplace nowadays, it was still good fun to watch. And hopefully we'll see something just as good next week.
Definitely. Looking forward to a close finale. Maybe with an absolute close fight for the team championship. Hopefully all three involved teams will bring a good lineup. And maybe it is hard to touch. But I think we might involve Tom Holland, as he's after the finale definitely the first confirmed driver to maybe an interview. And also Sereo, if it's obviously that it's pre-penalties. I think team championship might be a bit more difficult, but we're gonna see after you sorted the standings. So yes, everyone, thanks for watching. I see a few things cooking in the Discord.
This is going to be fun.
Honestly, it doesn't look too bad. The thing is, here on Grand's Hatch, even a small impact can have a big result. By having slightly contact in turn 1, dropping into the gravel can cost you 10 seconds. And in this close racing in the front where the guys are almost flawless, it is hard to gain that 10 seconds. We saw Jake Batty's solid pace on the first race, still not, even with the undercut, able to get back in the range of Sereo, Witchell and Hamza. So yes, everyone, thanks for watching. We'll see you next week in Japan for the finale. Hopefully.